Where are you?
Hi. We're on
Hi.
300. 300, and our sis is going to read today. Right, sis?
I am, and I've just remembered that I think there are 365 lessons in the workbook,
Hmm.
which means once we've completed lesson 300, we have 65 lessons left.
It's amazing.
Do you think we could make them stretch for another couple of years?
Yeah, start it over. I know a couple goofy gals who'll keep you busy for the next year on YouTube workbook lessons. Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
yeah, it's hard to believe, isn't it?
yeah.
Maybe we should have another live session or something. I don't know, kicking that idea around.
Yeah, I've been listening. I haven't received an answer yet. We'll
Okay.
see.
Yeah. Or a celebration or something. All right.
Yeah, it's coming. So lesson 300, only an instant does this world endure. He's speaking obviously of the illusory world, right?
Mhm.
The body, time, space,
The
death,
gap.
the
Mhm.
gap,
Mhm.
special relationships,
Mhm.
all of it, the gap, right? Only an instant does this world endure. This is a thought which can be used to say that death and sorrow are the certain lot of all who come here. Their joys are gone before they are possessed or even grasped. Well, that's what the ego believes, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's an important point just to pull up there that, this lesson, it's who is the one that's receiving this lesson.
Thank
And
you.
this yesterday you were talking about that, which is such a big point. If we are identified with mythical me, which is the ego,
Mhm.
is hearing, well, we're surrendering and we're accepting God's will and we're unselfing, that sounds terrible. And yet there's the holy self that's just standing there in all its radiance with a smile on its face, knowing that its will and God's is one and it's the best news ever. So, who is it that's receiving this lesson, right?
Yeah, I often see on Facebook comments by course students
Mm-hmm.
saying, basically milk life for whatever you can because life is so short from birth to death.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a tremendous misunderstanding there because that interpretation to take everything we can from life
Mm-hmm.
comes from mythical me, the ego. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, yeah. And we're to give, not to take. That's where our salvation is. Yeah. Anyway, I'll keep reading.
Good point. Okay.
Okay. Yet this is also the idea that lets no false perception keep us in its hold. And he's talking about only an instant does this world endure. So, yet this is also the idea that lets no false perception keep us in its hold, nor represent more than a passing cloud upon a sky eternally serene. And it is this serenity we seek, unclouded, obvious, and sure today. So the immediate feeling I'm getting from reading this is that for me, I know that whatever I'm seeing through the body's 5 physical senses in the gap is not true. I mean, he says here, only an instant does this world endure. Well, it's not even there. It's an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
So what is behind this illusion is the truth. The real world is here now.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tap into that at any moment that I'm disciplined or vigilant enough to look past what the ego is seeing,
Right.
right? What
Yeah.
the ego wants to see, I should say, because the ego only sees what it wants. That's it. Good
Fear
or
and
bad, right?
images. Yeah.
What did you say, sis? Sorry.
Fear and its imagery. Yes.
Yeah. Second paragraph is, we seek your holy word today.
Hold it. Is it word? Because I have,
Oh, world.
yeah.
Well, actually, that's my bad.
Hmm.
I apologize, because it's interesting. We seek your holy world today. In my mind, I was thinking, I seek your holy word today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say it's the same thing, actually. I don't think that it's really different. God spoke and it was done. So there is
yeah,
real true creation, and that's what we're seeking.
beautiful. Thank you for that clarification. We seek your holy world. See, isn't that amazing? I saw the word.
Maybe that's the way it really was in the dictation, and somebody just stuck an L in there.
Whatever. We seek your holy world and your holy word today. For we, your loving sons, have lost our way a while, but we have listened to your voice and learned exactly what to do to be restored to heaven and our true identity. And we give thanks today. The world endures, but for an instant. Talking about the world of suffering, endures, but for an instant. We would go beyond that tiny instant to eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just coming back again, highlighting the choice. We would try to either keep this imaginary gap going through new fads, new issues, new inflammatory nothing coming up to our awareness to gawk at and to get lost in, or closing of the gap in its entirety to experience, true creation. Yeah. Choose again. I have to start to giggle, the length that the sleeping mind goes to try to make this world seem so real.
Yeah.
I was just thinking
Yeah.
about how when I first moved out here, well, I didn't have a television, haven't had a television for a long, 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 long time, but I had gone to a restaurant and was eating breakfast, and they had one of those morning talk shows on. I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys before, but what astounded me was, the news sounded just like the news that I had been listening to back when I had a TV in California and really cared about the news. And that it's just a spin. It's the spin cycle. And it's the same story, different names, different faces, different clothing along a timeline, but it's the same material over and over and over. And should we be so surprised at the next one that flares up? We all look up and, oh, but it's the same dang thing. It just doesn't have new material, but it just calls it by a new name. We're so taken by what's going on in the world today. But if we listen to the news or a newspaper written 40, 50, 60, 100 years ago, we'd swear they were talking about us now. It's this horrendous loop that we get stuck in.
Yes, it's true. I just had a bit of a giggle then, because what I heard
Mm-hmm.
was that whether we watch the news today
Mm-hmm.
or whether we um, review the news from 1,000 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
or 2,000 or 3,000 years ago,
Yeah.
it would always contain the ego's trilogy.
Hmm.
Always the same. And the ego's trilogy, I just heard it then, it's conflict,
Hmm.
attack, and death.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
You got to laugh, right? Now the question came while I was listening to this, and the question popped in, and I had a bit of a giggle to myself because the question was this: what would the news be like worldwide if it was impossible to mention anything about conflict, attack, or death?
There wouldn't be any news.
There wouldn't be any news. Right? And when I say, the ego's trilogy, conflict, attack, and death, under the title attack is also disease,
Yeah.
sickness, pain, accidents.
Right. I was thinking the trilogy was sin, sickness, and death, but I'm realizing it's the same thing, because attack is the sickness and conflict is the sin. It's the idea of separation and duality, and death, of course, is death. So yeah, but it's the fabric of this. It's just looking at that. It never changes. And yet, if we want to be mythical me, if we want the sense of separation, we buy into it. What's the next one? Oh, let's call it COVID, Let's get grander. Let's do like pandemic size scale. Let's make it global, right? Oh my gosh. But it's the same whole lot of nothing going on.
Yeah, and if we buy into it and we make it real, and there's a trigger that's unforgiven there, and
Yes.
we can't forgive it.
Right. Yeah, we've made it real
We're
because
in Shitsville.
we want it real. We love the fear. We love the
The
feeling
drama.
of the fear and the drama and I wonder how this story's going to work out. Oh my gosh, just pulling back from it, you just have to, the only response is a giggle. I mean, and I'm not belittling anything. There's been plenty of times that I've been hooked in it, but I'm not now. I'm not, and I'm just I'm reeling from seeing how we're trying to make something so bland, so exciting, something so unreal, so enticing. It's just much ado about nothing.
Can I introduce a little exercise
Yeah.
just for fun?
Yeah, why not? Look at you.
Okay. So let's all do this is spontaneous, guys, right?
Okay.
Let's just do a little exercise for a couple of days, and maybe even a week, 7 days.
Okay.
And that is to sticky notes, see? Or have a notepad and a pen, and you carry it.
Uh-huh.
Guys, carry it in your pocket. Women, carry it in your bra, whatever, if you wear one.
You can have lumpy boobs.
What's that?
I said they'll have lumpy boobs. Put it in your purse. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Right. And then every time there's any public news, whether it be
Hmm.
on the news, in a newspaper, or whether you hear it in a restaurant or out there while you're socializing, and under the titles, the headings, conflict, attack, and death, just
Mhm.
put a check mark, right? And then after 7 days,
Oh my God.
let's see how many check marks we've collected
Yeah, that's
under
brilliant.
each of the categories: conflict, attack, and death.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then have a damn big laughter party,
Yes.
because it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like I said earlier, what would the news be?
Hmm.
What would be in the news if it was banned to have any conflict, attack, or death mentioned in the news? What's left? I'll tell you what's left.
What's left?
Miracles.
Okay. Okay, good.
We'd start to hear about all of the millions or
Mhm.
billions of miracles that are happening worldwide
Mm.
daily.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Do you think that's outrageous?
It's so necessary and it's mandatory, and that's what we must come to. Instead of feeding the machine of the death machine, we've got to find a better way of through
So,
forgiveness.
yeah, so looking at that exercise then, sis,
Yeah.
it'd be great to itemize those check marks, the ones that we can't laugh about,
Mm,
because they're going to be the ones that the ego's clinging to,
right.
yeah, as
Yes.
unforgiveness
Yes.
to attack us and, and damn our bodies to death.
Pull us into the dream, and the end of that dream is death. And I think even your conversations with people just randomly, like, to add those to the check mark, maybe just in personal news, right? Whoever
Mhm.
you're speaking with or family members, that could be interesting too, but to find the trend of the conversation. Yeah.
Mm,
It's
mm.
staggering that
How much of it on a daily basis
the
is the ego's trilogy?
yes,
Yeah.
it's all of it.
Mm.
Like I said, even the good is fearful.
Okay. Well, that was fun. Thank you. Love to get some feedback on this exercise. I'm going to do it.
I will too. Yeah.
Are you? Yeah.
Yeah. I think, can I have a sticky note, sis?
Oh, here you go.
I'm sure I've got some around here, but not like you do. Yes, I'll find some sticky notes. Yeah, but just to be aware of it. It doesn't want you to be aware of it. Doesn't want you to scrutinize it. Just wants you to think it's normal. But if you really were to put it under a microscope, I think we'd all be very amazed at just how anesthetized we are going around the world, thinking that this is okay, this is normal. Yeah.
Okay.
We still
Well,
love you. Are you still loving us?
I think our family's left, sis.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing crickets. Oh,
Is that what it is?
oh, you guys.
Oh,
Good.
gee. So, yeah, thank you for joining us, family. We really appreciate you helping to heal our minds. This was lesson 300. Only an instant does this ego world endure. Actually, it never did.
It never did. It was over the moment it was thought. Inconceivable. Okay, that was lesson 300. Holy smokes! We're down to the last 65. Okay, I'll see you. See you next time.
Hey. Bye.
Bye, everybody.